Purple. Purple is like the psychological aristocrat of the color spectrum. It's historically associated with royalty, luxury, and spiritual wisdom, but it's also the most psychologically complex and potentially alienating color in human perception. Purple sits between passionate red and calming blue, creating psychological tensions that can feel either sophisticated or unsettling. Purple has the strongest association with creativity, imagination, and artistic expression of any color. It stimulates the parts of the brain associated with fantasy, dreams, and creative problem solving, making it popular in artistic and spiritual environments where unconventional thinking is valued. The psychology of purple is deeply influenced by its historical rarity and expense. Purple dyes were once more valuable than gold, creating lasting psychological associations between purple and luxury, exclusivity, and high status. Your brain still carries these ancient associations, making purple feel expensive and special even when it's common. Purple can enhance meditation, spiritual practices, and introspective activities by creating psychological conditions that encourage deep thinking and self-reflection. It's like having a color that promotes internal exploration and philosophical contemplation, though it can also feel isolated and melancholy. Different shades of purple have dramatically different psychological effects. Light purples, like lavender, feel calming and romantic, while deep purples feel mysterious and powerful. Bright purples can feel playful or overwhelming, depending on context and personal associations. Purple is the least common color preference among adults, particularly men, making it a psychologically risky choice for mass-market products. It's like having a color that either creates strong positive reactions or strong negative reactions, with little middle ground for neutral acceptance. Orange. Orange is like the psychological cheerleader of the color world. It combines the energy of red with the happiness of yellow, creating an intensely optimistic, enthusiastic, and socially engaging color that makes people feel more outgoing and confident. Orange literally makes your brain release endorphins and increases social interaction. Orange stimulates appetite even more than red, which is why so many restaurants and food brands use orange in their branding and decor. It creates psychological associations with warmth, comfort, and abundance that make food seem more appealing and social eating more enjoyable. The psychology of orange is strongly associated with extroversion, adventure, and risk-taking. Orange environments make people feel more willing to try new things, engage in social interaction, and take calculated risks. It's like having a color that functions as liquid confidence for introverted personalities. Orange can increase mental energy and focus without the anxiety-inducing effects of brighter colors like yellow or red. It creates an optimal psychological state for creative work, brainstorming, and collaborative activities where enthusiasm and energy are more important than careful analysis. However, orange can also feel overwhelming, cheap, or attention-seeking when used incorrectly. Too much bright orange can trigger psychological responses similar to sensory overload, making environments feel chaotic and unrestful. The key is using orange as an accent color rather than a dominant environmental choice. Orange has strong seasonal psychological associations with autumn, harvest, and preparation, which can create feelings of warmth and nostalgia, but also anxiety about change and transitions. It's like having a color that carries the psychological weight of seasonal emotional patterns. Red. Red is like the psychological equivalent of someone yelling, "Look at me!" It's the most attention-demanding color in the spectrum, and your brain is hardwired to notice it immediately. This isn't just cultural preference, it's evolutionary programming that associates red with blood, fire, and other things that could either kill you or keep you alive. Red literally increases your heart rate, blood pressure, and breathing rate when you look at it, which is why emergency vehicles, stop signs, and warning labels all use red. Your nervous system treats red as an alert signal that something important is happening that requires immediate attention. In psychology, red is associated with passion, aggression, power, and urgency. It makes people feel more confident and assertive, but it can also increase anxiety and stress levels. Red clothing makes you appear more attractive and dominant, but it can also make you seem more aggressive and confrontational. The color red actually affects performance differently depending on the context. In competitive situations, red can boost confidence and performance. Athletes wearing red uniforms have been shown to win more often, but in academic settings, red can impair performance by increasing anxiety and fear of failure. Restaurants use red strategically because it stimulates appetite and creates a sense of urgency that encourages faster eating and turnover. Fast food chains love red because it makes people hungry, energetic, and likely to make quick decisions without overthinking their food choices. The psychological power of red is so strong that it can influence legal decisions. Studies show that defendants are more likely to be found guilty when case files have red covers, and students receive lower grades on assignments marked with red ink compared to other colors. Red literally prejudices people toward negative judgments. Blue is like the psychological equivalent of a warm hug from your most trustworthy friend. It's the color that makes your nervous system relax, your blood pressure drop, and your mind feel peaceful and secure. This association comes from our evolutionary connection to clear skies and clean water, both signals of safety and abundance. Blue has the opposite physiological effect of red. It actually slows your heart rate, reduces blood pressure, and decreases anxiety levels. It's like having a natural tranquilizer built into a color, which is why hospitals, therapy offices, and bedrooms often use blue to create calming environments. In business and psychology, blue represents trust, reliability, stability, and professionalism. This is why virtually every major corporation uses blue in their branding. Banks, tech companies, healthcare organizations, and social media platforms all want to appear trustworthy and dependable, and blue does that psychological heavy lifting for them. Blue enhances productivity and focus, making it ideal for work environments and study spaces. Unlike red, which can be distracting and overstimulating, blue helps maintain concentration and mental clarity over long periods. The psychology of blue varies by shade. Lighter blues feel more peaceful and open, while darker blues feel more authoritative and powerful. Navy blue combines the trustworthiness of blue with the authority of darker colors, which is why it's the go-to choice for business suits, police uniforms, and political campaigns. Interestingly, blue is the least appetizing color to humans, which is why you rarely see blue food in nature, and why blue plates can actually help with weight loss by making food look less appealing. Blue essentially tricks your brain into thinking food might be spoiled or unnatural, reducing your desire to eat it. Black commands respect, suggests authority, and creates an immediate sense of sophistication and power that other colors can't match. This isn't just about fashion. Black has deep psychological effects that influence how people perceive competence, attractiveness, and social status. Studies show that people wearing black are perceived as more intelligent and are more likely to be chosen for leadership positions. The psychology of black is complex because it simultaneously represents elegance and death, power and evil, sophistication and mystery. Black absorbs all light, which creates psychological associations with the unknown, the infinite, and the absolute. Your brain interprets black as either the ultimate presence or the ultimate absence. Black has slimming effects not just visually but psychologically. People wearing black feel more confident about their appearance and are perceived as more attractive by others. In design and marketing, black suggests luxury, exclusivity, and premium quality. High-end brands use black to signal that their products are sophisticated and valuable, creating psychological associations between darkness and desirability that influence purchasing decisions. However, too much black can create negative psychological effects, including depression, pessimism, and feelings of isolation. Black environments can feel oppressive and claustrophobic, which is why it's typically used as an accent color rather than a dominant environmental choice. It's powerful in small doses, but overwhelming in large quantities. Green is like the psychological middle child of the color spectrum. It's perfectly balanced between the aggression of red and the calm of blue, creating a sense of harmony, growth, and natural well-being that makes your brain feel like everything is going to be okay. This connection comes from our evolutionary association with fertile landscapes, fresh vegetation, and abundant resources. Green is the most restful color for human eyes because it sits in the center of the visible light spectrum, requiring the least adjustment from your eye muscles to process clearly, which is why looking at green spaces can actually reduce eye strain and mental fatigue. In psychology, green represents growth, renewal, harmony, and prosperity. It's associated with both money and nature, creating psychological connections between wealth and abundance that make green an effective color for financial institutions and luxury brands that want to suggest prosperity and success. Green has been shown to enhance creativity and reduce anxiety, making it an excellent choice for creative workspaces and therapeutic environments. Unlike other colors that either stimulate or sedate, green seems to optimize mental performance by creating a balanced psychological state that's neither too energized nor too relaxed. The psychology of green changes dramatically with its undertones. Yellow greens feel energetic and fresh, while blue greens feel more calming and sophisticated. Bright greens suggest vitality and youth, while darker greens convey stability and wealth. It's like having a color family where each member has a slightly different personality. Green is also strongly associated with environmental consciousness and healthy living, which is why organic food brands, environmental organizations, and health companies use it extensively. The color has become a psychological shorthand for natural and good for you, even when the actual product has nothing to do with nature. Yellow. It's the most cheerful, optimistic, and attention-grabbing color after red, capable of instantly lifting moods and creating feelings of joy and energy. This association comes from our connection to sunlight, which triggers vitamin D production and regulates circadian rhythms that affect mood and energy levels. Yellow stimulates mental activity and enhances concentration, making it excellent for creative work and problem solving. Which is why many creative spaces and children's learning environments incorporate yellow to boost engagement and enthusiasm. However, yellow has a psychological dark side that's often overlooked. It can also increase anxiety, stress, and even aggression when used in large quantities or bright intensities. Babies cry more in yellow rooms, and people lose their tempers more easily in predominantly yellow environments. The psychology of yellow is highly dependent on context and shade. Soft, warm yellows feel comforting and optimistic, while bright, electric yellows can feel jarring and overstimulating. Golden yellows suggest luxury and prosperity, while pale yellows feel gentle and nurturing. The wrong shade of yellow can completely change its psychological impact. Yellow is the most visible color to the human eye, which is why it's used for warning signs, taxicabs, and safety equipment. Your brain processes yellow faster than any other color, making it ideal for situations where immediate attention and quick decision-making are crucial. Culturally, yellow has complex psychological associations. In Western cultures, it often represents happiness and optimism, but it can also suggest cowardice or caution. In other cultures, yellow is associated with wisdom, honor, or even mourning. The psychological impact of yellow is more culturally variable than most other colors. White. White is like the psychological perfectionist of the color world. It represents purity, cleanliness, simplicity, and new beginnings, but it also creates unrealistic expectations and can feel cold, sterile, and intimidating. White's psychological impact is more complex and culturally loaded than most people realize. White enhances the perception of space and light, making environments feel larger, cleaner, and more open. The psychology of white varies dramatically across cultures. In Western cultures, white represents purity and innocence, particularly in wedding dresses and medical environments. But in many Eastern cultures, white is associated with death and mourning, showing how cultural conditioning shapes color psychology more than universal human responses. White can create psychological pressure to maintain perfection and cleanliness, leading to stress and anxiety in environments where maintaining white surfaces becomes a constant concern. In healthcare and scientific settings, white suggests sterility, precision, and cleanliness, which can be both comforting and intimidating. White lab coats increase perceived competence and trustworthiness, but they can also create psychological distance between professionals and patients. White is often used in minimalist design to create feelings of calm and focus, but too much white can feel empty, cold, and unwelcoming. The psychological impact of white depends heavily on texture, lighting, and accompanying colors that warm up or cool down its emotional temperature. So there you have it. Every major color explained through the lens of psychology, from red's aggressive attention-seeking to purple's aristocratic complexity, and everything in between. Understanding color psychology is like discovering that you've been living in a world where every visual choice has been subtly influencing your emotions, decisions, and behaviors without your conscious awareness. The fascinating thing about color psychology is that it operates below the level of conscious thought. You don't decide to feel more energetic in a red room or more trustful of a blue logo. It just happens automatically based on millions of years of evolutionary programming and decades of cultural conditioning. But here's what marketers don't want you to know. Once you understand how color psychology works, you become much harder to manipulate through visual design. You can recognize when brands are using red to create urgency, blue to suggest trustworthiness, or green to imply environmental consciousness. The goal isn't to become immune to color psychology. That's probably impossible since these responses are hardwired into human neurology. Remember that color is never neutral. Every color choice is a psychological intervention that affects how you and others think and feel. Your environment is constantly programming your psychological state through color, and now you have the user manual for how that programming works. Use this knowledge to create spaces and experiences that support the mental states you actually want, rather than accidentally triggering emotions you don't need. If this deep dive into color psychology made you realize how much your visual environment has been affecting your mood and behavior without you knowing it, smash that like button, subscribe for more content that reveals the hidden psychology of everyday life, and drop a comment, letting me know which color revelation surprised you the most. Trust me, once you start noticing how colors affect you, you'll never see the world the same way again, and that's probably a good thing.